So let's begin by looking at the topic, criminology. Why on earth would anyone want to study criminology? In our view, there are 5 very good reasons to study it. First of all, it's an interesting topic, learning about crime, the reasons for crime, why people commit crime. Secondly, it's stimulating because it makes you think. A quick question to all of you, could any of you tell me why people commit crime? And I will say as well, if you can do that, you probably should be made Home Secretary. Does anybody know why people commit crime? Can you think of any reasons?
The benefits of it, like robbery, you can get money for it.
Yep, so acquisition to get wealth, perhaps? Any other reasons?
Overwhelming emotions like jealousy, hatred.
Good one. So personal feelings, what else?
That's what it does.
Yeah, stimulation itself. There are other real controversial answers you could have given. At the moment, we've got a massive debate going on about welfare reform in Great Britain and the potential links between welfare, poverty, and crime. Really big questions there. And one of the things certainly we do in criminology is try to strip away the stereotypes and the preconceptions people have of criminology to make students and ourselves think about what are the significant issues that we need to address in policy, in law, where we do a lot of work with local authorities, with government, and with different agencies trying to help them understand these things, with the aim of being transformative. And by that, I mean making a real difference in society. It's very easy to see crime as a black and white issue, and it's not. It's often very murky and very grey, and sometimes rather rainbow-coloured, because there's so many aspects to it. And in the department, we've got a wide range of expertise. So, Tracy over there, Tracy leads a flagship project that looks at sex work. There's our former head department, Kevin Haynes, who focuses on youth justice. Our other professor, Jane Donoghue, who looks at sentencing, also penology. Dr. Pamela Ugwudike, with 2 of our tutors, looks at penology. I focus on children's rights and youth justice. And we have other staff then who look at terrorism and sexual offending. So you can probably see there's a very wide range of research expertise within the department. And I will underline that point, it's research expertise. We are not the type of department that draws our knowledge from books. We're the ones who tend to create the books through doing research. And an important point there is that research fuels the way the degree is structured and the types of things that you're taught. So it's not recycled, regurgitated information. One thing about criminology that's really interesting is it's a composite discipline. So myself and Tracy, for example, have legal backgrounds. Other members of staff have, as just been said, police backgrounds, probation backgrounds, social work backgrounds. One of the things criminology does is to fuse together all those different disciplines, giving you often a very unique way of looking at the world. So I mean, if you're looking at a legal problem in terms of crime as a legal problem, we look beyond what the black letter of the law would say as to why are people doing these things? How should we really help these people or treat people who've committed offences? It's putting things into a social context as well as a legal or a judicial context. In terms then of questions, have a look just for a few seconds at these. These are the sort of questions people in our department are looking at. You could probably see the very, very wide questions, sometimes very hard questions, very difficult questions that politicians in particular don't like to answer. I'm going to take the easy route on this and look at question number 2 for a second. And I'm going to ask you that question. Particularly in Wales, because we've got a devolved government, our policy is that children really should not be put into prisons unless there's some other action that can be done with them. So have a think for a few seconds, and I will ask people to answer this time, please. If prison is a last resort, when we look at things like the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, this is perhaps we should do other things with children. Why in the United Kingdom do we have such a high level of child custody? Just think for a second and give us a view on that. What I need to have is one of those countdown things, you know, these 15 seconds going backwards. Alas, we don't. So, anyone have a view on that? I'll give you a simpler question to begin with. Should we ever put children into custody? Lock them up in jails?
Or if they're dangerous, yes.
So would you say, let's think of a really horrible case, the Bulger case. The argument would be we were right to lock up the two boys because they pose such a significant danger. But should we do that for people who have committed more minor offences? Because we do sometimes.
Maybe custodial sentences are just the best, like a form of punishment. Maybe the alternatives just don't work as well.
Okay, so that's part of our deterrence theory, that we say, actually, make an example of somebody. Do any of you think deterrence actually works? Some do. Let's take a straw poll. I guess it's going to ruin the film now, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hands up those of you who think that deterrence, if we're harsh on some offenders, we'll stop others in the future. Hands up those who think that actually happens. Hands up those who don't. Hands up those who don't know, which is quite legitimate as well. Generally, deterrence doesn't often work. That's an empirical fact. And certainly when we look at children, it's a really fascinating debate because as we enter into the work area I do research in, we look at children's rights, and children have different rights to adults. There's a big argument that actually what we do with children is we strengthen families and keep them in their communities. So it's rehabilitative action. Some people accuse us of being very pink and fluffy on those type of things. And of course there is a place for deterrence and for being rehabilitative. But it's a really complicated question, as are many of the questions here we look at. And these are significant issues that government is trying to grapple with. We look at what's happening in the migrant crisis at the moment and issues of human trafficking. Immensely complex issues. And they sit largely within the discipline of criminology. So if you do a degree here, for example, Tracy will be talking about things like exploitation and trafficking. And you get a good view of what happens in the field. And so, and I said I would say a lot about research-led practice, and I'm going to. What we try to do in our degree here is to give you a contemporary degree. And by that I mean something that is absolutely slap bang up to date. Everything flows from research. When we publish articles, when we publish books, when we publish reports, that informs our teaching. So if you do a degree here in 2016, in the first year, you will not have the same teaching in the second year. If you were to repeat the year, it changes every single year to make sure we're on top of our agenda. And what we try to do as well is not just be contemporary in terms of research, because that would be rather selfish, all the staff just publishing their own work. We don't do that, but to accord with what's actually happening in society. So I mentioned trafficking. That's a really critical one at the moment. We're trying to deconstruct trafficking. How does it happen? Why does it happen? How do you actually solve it? I do think research-led teaching is really important, actually, because it means the staff actually want to invest not just in the research that we do, invest in your degrees. It makes your degree much, much stronger. But it's not all about just teaching. And you probably might, hopefully you're not getting that impression of me sort of bouncing questions at you all the time. A big thing for us is student experience as well. When you pay to come to university, when you accept a place at university, it's a really important 3 years of your life. And it has to give you a good experience. And we as staff are committed to giving a really good experience. So I picked out 3 things I think that we do rather well. And I'll even give you some statistics to show we do this rather well. First of all, experiences of academia itself. Long gone are the days, I'm pleased to say, when academics dwell in ivory towers. What we try to do is bring academia to you in a form that's digestible. I'm not going to mention research-led again, I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear, but things like personal tutor system. We have a very strong personal tutor system, which means when you come to university, you don't just wander off to do what you want. You have a personal tutor assigned to you. How many of you are doing joint honours here, or planning to do joint honours? You, unfortunately, have 2 personal tutors, so you get double the money worth, as it were, which means you have to attend meetings to look at academic progress. So if something's going wrong, we will try to fix it or upskill you. Pastoral support, particularly in the first year. For some people, it's a bit of a hard job coming to university in the first year. First time away from home, having to be independent, personal tutors will provide support. And that's in the context of the learning community, a small department. I'll say it again, we're not small because, we're small for the simple reason that as part of the College of Law, we're very, very specialised, but being small has an advantage that we know everyone. So proper relationships between staff and students. Second thing we do really well is skills. I'll talk a little bit later about employability. It's one of the big focuses of the university and certainly this college. One of the things we have built into our degree is a very strong progressional approach to employability. When you come here, you come to get an academic degree, yes, but you also come to learn interpersonal skills. You come to learn how to be a good graduate who is fit for employment at the end of your degree. That's important. You don't just get your BSc after year 3 and then just wander off. No, you need to be prepared for that. And the other thing we do rather well is networking. I'm not going to say anything about the social life as a member of staff. We've got our doctoral students over there who are graduates from the Criminology degree. They're going to talk to you about that. But certainly in terms of networking, we encourage staff-student engagement, things like staff-student committees. We work very closely with partner agencies, so the police, the probation services, youth offending teams. And what we try to do is get students involved in networking. So when you leave university, you've got contacts to help you get a good job, or if you're going to further study, to help you with your own research. I'm going to give you the obligatory slide here, which talks about the university growing. How many of you have seen the second campus on the way in? I've seen a few people. I'm not going to labour this point. You can read this in the booklet or go online. There's all these online sort of films. The point I want to make with regards to us being a growing university is actually a really important one. The university is committed to growth. I mean, we're one of the old universities in Wales. We're a pre-92 university. But one thing we're doing is massively expanding. Criminology department at the moment is recruiting. We're expanding as well, which is a good sign. Shows confidence in what we are doing by the University Council and university management. And that matters. I just want to run through some of the details of what we do in our degree. I'm very happy to talk to joint honours students afterwards. I'm going to focus mainly on single here because otherwise I could end up becoming a walking module catalogue, which would bore you to tears, I can assure you. What you do, 120 credits each year. We have a varied teaching programme. Some courses or modules run over a 10-week. You've got 2 semesters in each year, 10 weeks, 10 weeks. Some run week 1 to 10, and they're our sort of regular modules. Some run as what we call short, fat modules. So you get intensive bursts of learning. And for most modules, we have provision of those 3 things: lectures, seminars, and workshops. It's actually a hallmark of the criminology degree in Swansea that we have those 3 things. So lectures are 2 hours, normally per week. You get 3 seminars over the course of a semester, and then an 8-hour workshop as well to bring the knowledge you've learned in that module together. And that's for each module, I hasten to add, so don't think you're doing 2 hours a week. I've mentioned the pastoral system, so I won't talk about that again, but one thing I will highlight is our assessment approach. We don't just do exams and essays. We've been praised by our external examiners for the broad range of assessments we have. So we would do with you throughout the semesters, as I've just said, examinations and essays, certainly, but things like research portfolios, even blogs, presentations, group works, very, very broad range of assessments. And that's to show us that you're growing not simply in academic and intellectual knowledge, but also in terms of skills. So that's assessed as you go through your degree programme. These are our current first year modules, and I say current because I have to, because we're taking additional staff on this year. So these are slightly subject to change, but very unlikely to change before September. You'll probably see within that list some of the things I've just been talking about, a mixture of pure academic learning, applied learning, but also skills-based learning as well. And I want to focus just on one module. Again, if any of you want to have outlines of all the modules, you're very welcome. You can email me. My address will be up later on. Very happy to give you that information, but for the purpose of today, we'll just stick on one. Introduction to the criminal justice system. These are sort of things that students look at within that module. So giving you a broad knowledge of the justice system and also trying to dispel some of the misunderstanding that exists regarding the justice system. One thing you may note as well is that some of the thematic areas there on the screen relate very much to the expertise of the staff, and that's quite intentional. So I mean, on that module, I give a specialised lecture on victimology, so we could obviously share the knowledge across the department. Second year modules, and this is where, with the help of personal tutors, students start to specialise. I will say as well, because I've just come from a meeting about this morning, in addition to these modules, we also offer modules that are given within the law school. So these are the criminological modules, there are others as well. So again, there's a broader range of choices that the students in criminology can do. But you can begin to see how people can start to specialise, so things like crime, drugs and alcohol. People have interest there. And specialisation continues in the third year, where you go on to, say, youth justice, sexual crime, diversity, and we expect every student to do a dissertation. So to do some original work themselves, whether that's literature-based or empirical, i.e. in field research. So looking forward, hopefully something that does excite a bit of interest, employability. Now, I did have a chat to two people before we came in here, and the answer was given that people sometimes don't know what they want to do before they come to do a degree. That's absolutely fine. We have graduates, people almost graduate level, who are still a little uncertain what they do. What we try to do, however, throughout the course of the degree is to help you discern a career pathway. That's important because when you look into year 2 and year 3, you get to specialise. So we want your degree to be fit for purpose, to use the cliche. We do this in a number of ways. We've got specialised modules, we've got personal tutors, we have a lead in employability who links to the university, and we have support from other parts of the university. So for example, the Swansea Academy that helps us to teach skills and to build people up into the career that they want to go into. And I think what we have in criminology in Swansea is a very pragmatic approach to employability. We all know what's happening outside the walls of the university, and we live in a very competitive world, very competitive indeed. And so what we want to do is give you the best chance at a graduate career once you leave. And I warned you I'd mention some stats, so here we go. We're in the top 20 universities as an institution for employability. Far more importantly, these two figures here relate to our department. So 85% of our graduates are in work or study 6 months after finishing their degrees, and 70% of those are in graduate employment, so they're in professional or managerial jobs within 6 months. That's not a bad set of figures. I think that's quite a positive set of figures. And I'm going to go through this a little bit. Our graduates do a wide range of things, and one of the reasons they do a wide range of things is that we build these skills. These are specifically addressed within our modules, within our tutorials, and with our employability policy in the department. So if any of you are going to come here, we will keep you busy. That's the important point to say there. We also offer things that other colleges don't offer. So research internships. And we're currently we review our internship program every year. For the past 3 years, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because the gents over there were interns previously, and they'll have a far more interesting view to tell you than me. We've set up research internships where students in their third year are linked to partner agencies, whether that's the city council or schools or youth justice providers, to actually go and do proper research, and that can be on topics that they really care about. So working with young offenders, professionals. And we also offer a robust program of work placement. And in fact, it's actually launching on Friday night, this year's particular program. And what that means is we try to get students not only to study at the university, but get out into the real world and work with our partners. So agencies like the police, for example, are popular. And from my area, Youth Justice, again, the Youth Justice Board for England and Wales. So it's not just in college, it's also out of college as well. These are some of the careers our graduates have got. So not being anticipatory, these are the things that they've got. So again, not going to touch postgrad, two doctoral students over there, but our students get into these sorts of organisations. And also others, it's not exclusive. One of my interns from 2 years ago landed himself a wonderful job. He did a dissertation, empirical dissertation with me that was based on understanding children's rights in education and the effect that they might have on preventing crime. He was taken on immediately, literally within weeks after graduation, to become Deputy Research Commissioner Manager in the Department of Health in England. So, very good job. And we will help you. I remember my days as a graduate. I was a law graduate, so you were sort of expected to go into either the bar or the law society, but the world has changed since then. And sometimes we need to help tease out what career suits you. Hence why we've got things like work placements and internships to give you a flavour of how the workplace functions. There's also an issue of dispelling career myths. I know of quite a few students who have said, we want to be police officers. They then done work with the police and swiftly change their mind because it's not for them. It's not the bill. Shows my age as well. This doesn't have taken off the screen, but it certainly is not. But that's something we do focus on. I do hope we're approachable. I'm not going to slam the phone down on you if you ring me. It's important to me that if you've got queries, and this is one of the biggest decisions as a student you'll ever make, is which university you go to, because it shapes the rest of your life. Think of the things that matter to you, and if you don't understand or you need to know more, please get in touch.